Very rarely does a brand new marker come to market and stand out above the rest. With new features never before seen in markers. Today I'll be putting them through multiple papers to see how they work on different surfaces. Will they just become another marker in an already saturated market? Or are they now?
What's going on YouTube? My name is ADCArtAttack, his name is Bob, and welcome back to, oh sorry, I hit him. What's going on YouTube? My name is ADCArtAttack, his name is Bob, and welcome back to a brand new video. Yes, we are back with the Molotov sketches. In the previous video, we put the markers to a battle, the first time I had experienced them, and through that, while I praised them highly, I felt that they were misused and held back greatly by a lack of experience and the paper of choice. So today I'm back, and I'm hoping that my first experience will allow me to correct those mistakes. And for those of you tuning in for the first time, if you haven't seen these markers before, I highly recommend checking out the previous video for more details. However, I can say that these markers use a brand new type of ink dubbed Aqua Pro. This ink claims to dry like alcohol markers, and while true, these pens are anything but alcohol markers. So today's video, I'm going to be putting these pens to 3 different paper types, in the hopes of finding the perfect paper for these pens, as well as, you know, having some fun. Oh, disclaimer, I only own these. I'm not made of mine. Whoops. I only own these, so the art, you know, may reflect that. Yeah, I didn't plan this out too well. Also, anything that I use in today's video that I recommend, I'll be sure to slide an Amazon affiliate link down below in the description. If you purchase by that link, I get a little commission, you get a little something out of it. It's a win-win.
And so, the first to put our markers to the test is the ADCArtAttack sketchbook. The paper within this book is smooth yet textured. There's some really nice tooth to it, and it feels so good and satisfying gliding the pencil across the surface. For the sketchbook test, I'm creating a drawing of Ahsoka from Star Wars, one of my favorite and most developed characters. She has a beautiful color palette that will put the sketches to a great test. Now this drawing was going well up until I decided to live stream on Twitch, and in doing so I opted to recreate this drawing. And of course, it came out better. So we are going to use this version for today's test.
Seriously, it seems like I do my best artwork live on Twitch, so, you know, I'll show you. Look, I drew this. Look at this. I drew it live. It's really good. Go follow.
For the colouring, keeping in line with the sketchbook, I opted to colour this over the rough pencil lines and shading, in order to keep a very authentic, rustic approach as one would with a sketchbook. However, some areas I chose to leave unshaded just to see how these pens work alone. While they do handle some small areas with extremely smooth coverage on a single layer, due to a lack of opacity, some colours in larger areas noticeably stack with themselves. However, a second layer can drastically improve this and leave behind a beautiful colour. The expectation when placing a marker like this on sketch paper is that it'll bleed out, or at least have feathered edges, but it doesn't. In fact, when we compare the line work from a sketcher versus an alcohol marker, it's pretty insane how a watercolor marker bleeds far less. The blending side of things tell a different story. The paper does take the markers very well, though respect must be given, we are working with delicate paper, and that means drying times are important. As we have water-based markers, we will be wetting the paper more than usual, so there is more risk of damage. However, blending can be achieved, and with these markers, the longer the drying time, the better they look. I decided to add some line work here to further test the capabilities of these markers. Now with the extra tooth given by the markers themselves, it allows for a superior level of control to ink in one stroke. For those who suffer with really shaky hands, this is nice. So next up we have watercolor paper, the paper designed for watercolors. This paper differs in a major way from the other papers in not only the fabric but the texture. This paper is rough and requires an immense level of care when sketching. Personally, I'd recommend tracing your line work here. However, today I'm attempting to draw cleanly first go. I put a little bit of pressure on myself. For this paper, I opted to create an original drawing of Jinx from the incredible Arcane series. This drawing is an original concept to the character design because I wanted to be extra. In theory, this paper should be perfect for these markers, watercolor paper designed for watercolors. Now the first touch to paper is always scary, so I decided to begin with the ear, easy to hide and... success. Once again, we see a beautiful coverage. A pattern I'm noticing is the consistency of this base layer. But we can't always rely on a base layer, and it is about time the second and third layers start to show us something special. Now, working on these markers home turf, a style switch is only respectful. Treating the product in its intended manner may yield better results and tell a more accurate story. But before I got too deep in, I took advantage of the marker's special power, swapping out the chisel nib for the brush and the colors I needed, creating a fast and less stressful way of getting my two shades together. Now, as someone with a limited watercolor marker experience, shaking the alcohol marker style was difficult. But when you realize the capabilities these hold, suddenly things become easier. Dragging the colors as one would paints is a quality I love. And the more I progressed and became used to them, I realized the true potential here held back by nothing more than the lack of colors I owned. I can't believe I didn't think of this. So here we have watercolor markers, and my mind forgot we could use a brush and some water to work with these. With this newfound ability, I'm able to completely alter the drawing. I can smoothen blends and even remove colors. Something I wish I discovered sooner, as this is a huge asset. And no place is this more useful than right here. Now, I don't own any grays, only one black. So how can I make shadows and highlights? Well, this is brilliant. once again, I wanted to ink this piece, and honestly, inking this was such a treat. It was unusual to ink something that is borderline painted, but I'm so glad I made the decision to do the inking because it really started to bring this piece together. Now finally, we have marker paper, and today I'm using one of the highest quality marker papers on the market by Winsor & Newton. To say this paper is smooth would be a massive understatement. There's absolutely no way I can draw on this, but I'm going to try. Actually, once I began doing the drawing, it felt quite nice, and today I'm drawing Naruto for this paper because I am aware there are many people out there who are going to want to try these markers in a different style, a manga style. And seeing as I am using marker paper, one of the most popular papers for manga artists, why not? Now, as I said before, I am aware that many people are going to wish to use these markers in a more cel-shaded approach, with limited or very small amounts of blending. So I won't be doing any of that for this character here today. That means all I'll be doing here is laying down base colors, one of the strengths of these markers, with a very limited second layer of shadow. While the base layer has been the strength of these markers throughout the other papers we've used here today, it isn't that great using on this paper. Due to how thin this paper is, it does crinkle quite a bit and fold and warp, and it's not a pleasant experience to use the markers here. Yeah, watercolor markers, marker paper, it's not a good combination. So what do I think about these pens? I think they're absolutely amazing, but their performance is definitely decided upon by the papers you choose, which isn't to say they're good or bad, it is something to keep in mind. That being said, if you're gonna get these markers, definitely watercolor paper. It's just, yeah. I also think it's a good idea to keep in mind all of the features we discovered in the previous video, because these pens have so many unique features to them that make them both eco-friendly, very cheap, and very dynamic as markers. So keep that in mind when judging them. Are they the best markers? Not for me. If you are interested in watercolor markers, these are the best, period. These are the best markers you're going to find. They're absolutely incredible. But if you are like me, who's just a general marker artist or someone who's just getting into using markers, these have a very high skill ceiling and they take a lot of practice. So if you are willing to put in the time, these can be great for you, but just jumping right into them, they are not user-friendly. They are definitely something that require a bit of experience and a bit of time to master, as you saw with some of my artwork today. Anywho, that is all we have time for today. My name has been ADCArtAttack, his name is Bob, and we will see you all again in the next video. Till next time, wait. Just a quick reminder that down below in the description are some links to some of the products that I used in today's video that I recommend. If the links are not down there, I don't recommend the product and I personally wouldn't buy it. But hey, if you find the links down there, go for it. Also, I can't promise that I'll find the link for your country, so sorry. That's it. Bye.
Gotta make sure everything's working. Hello.
What's your name? Speak for the cameras. Honk.